Hi, and welcome to this installment of Frank and Mary here in Southborough. If you have not seen this show before, my name is Art Bergeron. My day job is as an elder law attorney at Myrick O'Connell, but this is not about my day job. It's about my friends Frank and Mary. If you've seen my presentations at the Southborough Senior Center or elsewhere, you know that Frank and Mary's goal in life is to live in their house until they die and be buried in the backyard. And if that's you and you want to stay right here in Southborough, the question is, who are the people you want to know? What are the programs that you may want to know about in order to do just that, to live the rest of your life kind of where you are? With me is my good friend Doug Peck, whom we've been doing this show now for several years. And so Doug always finds these great people, and I just get to talk to them. I get to meet them. But because Doug has been living in Southborough now for how long have you been in Southborough?
43, 44 years.
Yeah, so not a local, I mean,
Right.
he doesn't get
Not a
to town
town,
as a native, right? I mean, he's from Ashland, but pretty much he's pretty close. So Doug, whom do we have today?
Actually, we have somebody from my hometown, although she's not a townie there. Lisa Campbell lives in Ashland, not too far away from Southborough. Um, I actually met her and saw her do one of a seminar at the Mass Council on Aging conference in October, and it really impressed me. This is about mindfulness, and I thought it was really appropriate. This is still a time of high anxiety for a lot of people. The holidays are that way, but the whole last couple of years, I think people are still feeling, particularly seniors, anxious about a lot of things.
And by the way,
I figured,
speaking of high anxiety, I'm going to get off the camera for a second and shut off my phone because I just realized
okay,
I'm anxious that my phone is going to ring inevitably while we do the show.
So, and I thought it was also a good way to start off the new year, thinking about this. And what I want to talk to Lisa about, she's going to talk to us a little bit about, is sort of, what do you mean when you say mindfulness? I want to take the mystique away from meditation and mindfulness as being something exotic, and it's something that you really should integrate into your day-to-day schedule. So, Lisa, welcome to the show. It's good to see you again.
Thank you.
And
It's good to be here.
you've been doing this now during the pandemic as well, right? I mean, that hasn't stopped you from conducting classes.
Correct. So I've been teaching for the last 10 years. And just before the pandemic came, we were thinking about doing some classes online. But you might recall before the pandemic, Zoom was like mysterious technology. So not a lot of people had access to Zoom. So indeed, we took mindfulness onto Zoom and did very well with it in our groups.
Oh, good. So tell us a little bit about, how you got into it and what mindfulness and meditation is and what you've been teaching at some of the senior centers around.
Sure, absolutely. So I came to meditation probably about 30 years ago. And at the time, I wanted to learn how to be more peaceful and calm. I'm a United States Air Force veteran and had a lot of stress in my life. And I was looking for ways to be able to have a better relationship with myself, with my family, my husband, and my son. So meditation, especially mindfulness, was incredibly helpful, so much so that I decided to become a certified meditation coach. Spent many years studying with great teachers and doing different practices. And just before the pandemic, I'd been teaching all different kinds of populations. I'd been in schools working with parents and families, but it was the senior population that I was having the most fun with. So I was in two different senior centers in Wellesley and Framingham, and we were doing a mindful living course, which includes mindfulness meditation, breathwork, community, and different practices for cultivating well-being. But I like what you said. There is this kind of confusion around mindfulness, actually, a lot of confusion around mindfulness. Mm-hmm. So different teachers will have different methods of teaching mindfulness. But ultimately, there's a definition I'd like to share with you. It's one of the best definitions I've found, how we use mindfulness. And it comes from UC Berkeley's Greater Good Science Center. They define mindfulness as maintaining a moment-by-moment awareness of our thoughts, our feelings, our bodily sensations, and our surrounding environment through a gentle, nurturing lens, which is really kind of the way that you can sum it up. That sounds wonderful conceptually, but how do you actually do it, right? What does that really mean? So ultimately, I think when we think of mindfulness, an easy way to remember what it means to be mindful is just being present and awake and aware. It's the opposite of autopilot, where you're caught up in your thoughts and you're not very present. So different practices will help us learn how to do that. I'd like to share a short practice with you, maybe 10 minutes of a direct experience of mindfulness. Mindfulness, the benefits, if we go to Google or the Mayo Clinic, we'll see that mindfulness can offer all kinds of benefits, from relieving stress and anxiety and depression. It helps with insomnia and diabetes and all of these wonderful things. But again, how? How does it do this? So before I offer this experience, I'd like to say how. We're actually cultivating 3 attentional skills, all different kinds of methods and techniques. The bottom line is you are cultivating 3 very important skills for the aging brain. The first one is concentration. You're deepening your ability to stay with one thing, what you deem relevant, right? Instead of having like a monkey mind and you're drawn in every direction. Oh, there's my phone. Oh, there's this that I need to do. You're actually able to just be with one thing at a time. That's really important for developing short-term memory, especially. The second thing is you're developing sensory clarity. That's the ability to know what's happening in your experience at any given time, your thoughts, your body, right? You're awakening to this moment and very aware and very clear what's happening in your experience. The third important attentional skill that you're developing is equanimity. Now, I think this is actually one of the best skills to receive from the practice of mindfulness. It's really the way that you learn to ride the waves of life. It's being balanced when your life is going really well and not so well. And I think at this point in our lives, many of us have experienced really amazing things in life and probably a lot of disappointments and challenges in life. So it's learning how to be resilient, how to be able to surf the waves of life, that balance and equanimity. So does that make sense?
That's a great metaphor. That's a great metaphor.
Yeah, absolutely. So how do we become mindful? Well, it is a practice. Sometimes you might drop into the moment. You're completely clear and awake and present, and you know that feeling because you're not caught up in your thoughts. It can happen sometimes when you're doing art, playing music. Maybe you're having a wonderful experience with a loved one or a pet. You're just completely present and in the moment. But we can cultivate mindfulness by doing a practice like this. Are you ready?
Okay.
So let's come into a comfortable posture. This will be about 10 minutes. I'm minding the time. So a
Is 10
posture
minutes
of
okay,
meditation.
Arthur?
Absolutely.
Okay.
This is I based on my own experience, this is some of the most valuable time that there is.
Okay.
Absolutely. Good, good. So a posture of meditation is one where you can be comfortable. Remember, you can move anytime to be more comfortable. Let's start this practice with our eyes open. We're going to do a practice called see, hear, feel. So first, I want you to just notice what the eyes are seeing. You can relax your body. Your eyes are open, your gaze is soft, and you're not paying attention to any one particular thing, but you might notice there are colors in your field of vision. There may be shapes. Maybe there's sunlight or shadow. Just be aware of what you are seeing all around you without needing it to be different. Good. And now you can close your eyes. And remember, if this doesn't make sense to you or it doesn't feel good, you are the captain of your ship. Do what does feel good. Now we're going to explore the inner sea. So in your mind's eye, visualize a beautiful yellow sunflower. You might notice the yellow petals against the blue sky. And you might even notice some movement. Maybe there's movement of the leaves as if they're moving in the wind. And as you see this yellow sunflower, see if you can locate the mental screen in the mind. So where are you seeing this image of the sunflower? For many of us, it's around the physical eyes or somewhere in the middle of our head. And as you see this yellow sunflower, you might see it in high definition, like you're looking at a television screen. For other people, it's like a faded photograph. And still others will see no sunflower at all. All of these are completely normal. So this is the inner sea. You can let that go and now become aware of what you're hearing outside of yourself, all around you. There may be sounds of activity. There might be moments of quiet. But just be aware of what you are hearing all around you. Good. Now we also have an inner ear. It's almost like we have a speaker, a radio speaker in our mind. So for the next moment or so, see if you can hear your favorite song in your mind. I'm hearing Jingle Bells for some reason. Notice if you can turn the sound up and turn it down. And then see if you can locate that speaker inside of yourself. For many of it's around our physical ears, or the back of your throat. So now I've just introduced you to every thought you will ever have. It's either auditory, you'll hear your thought, or you'll see it as a visual image. All thoughts are simple experiences of an inner see or hear, or sometimes a combination of both. Now, lastly, let's explore the feeling of the body. So become aware of your feet being touched by the floor, aware of your body where it's supported by your seat. Maybe even notice the sensations of breathing, temperature of warmth or coolness. These are just different sensations we can notice in the body. But we also have an inner sensation of feeling. We call these emotions. So I want you to begin to notice if you can feel any emotion. For example, if you're feeling happy, lighthearted, maybe there's a spaciousness in your heart space, a smile, a feeling of softness in the belly. Alternatively, if you're feeling frustrated or stressed out, you might feel tension in your jaw. a heaviness in your heart or a constriction in your belly. Let's see if you can notice, how are you feeling in this moment? Again, whatever you find, even if you're not clear on what you're finding, it's just a sense of curiosity. Good. Before we open our eyes, we can remember mindfulness as simply noticing what it's like to be me right now. So check in. What does it feel like to be you physically, mentally, and emotionally? Good. Before we open our eyes, take a nice long, slow, deep breath in through the nose, filling yourself up. Long, slow exhalation. And when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes. So that was less
excellent.
than 10 minutes, but how was that?
That was wonderful.
That was
It was
good.
just to sit
That was
peacefully
so
for
good.
a few minutes.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It is.
Absolutely.
So if you don't mind, I'm just going to tell just a quick
Yeah.
story. So I started learning about mindfulness by accident because I wanted to learn something about Buddhism. I was not looking to convert, but I wanted to understand. And so I went to the Barry Center for Buddhist Studies. Who knows? The Center for Buddhist, one of the major national centers for Buddhist studies in Barry, Massachusetts.
Right.
I went to a weekend retreat, and it was led by a person who was focused on mindfulness. And it just changed my life. I did not become a Buddhist, right? But the practice of doing this changed my life. The second time that I kind of bumped into it, though, was actually when I moved here to Myrick O'Connell. When there was a course that was offered to any of the lawyers here at the UMass Center for Mindfulness. Who knew? The University of Massachusetts, a nationally famous location for doing mindfulness. And I went through a
Yeah.
several-week training there, and totally was wonderful. And just going to just these kinds of experiences. And then the final thing, the most common place that I practice mindfulness is driving. Driving. Every Thursday, I have to drive to one of the islands. I drive to either Nantucket or Martha's Vineyard. So I have these long drives, and I especially notice them in the morning because I'm so often seeing dawn and sunrise and all of this. And I just find it's the most peaceful thing to be driving and just totally being in the moment. Now, my wife keeps saying, don't do that. You're going to fall asleep. And I keep saying, no, mindfulness is a way of being awake, not a way of being asleep.
Right.
It's just just as an observation from a kind of a believer in this. It's really wonderful.
Absolutely. I like what you said. It's being awake, not asleep at the wheel. And in that way, we are awake for our lives, right? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. I've often thought, when people talk about aging, one of the things they mention is that, gee, I don't remember where I put my keys. I don't remember where I parked the car if I go grocery. And I really think it's more a lack of awareness of being focused on that. Everybody is juggling so many things that they don't remember because they just weren't paying attention what they did. They're thinking about something else ahead of time. And so it's not really that they're forgetting, they're just not paying attention. It's not that the mind is going, it's just you really, really need to focus. And once you start this, I just think you're a lot of your concerns about your memory, although obviously there is still, there is a disease called dementia. But a lot of people, as they age, are worried about about the smaller things, and it's really just because they're just not paying attention. They think they can multitask, and I don't think the brain is up for multitasking as it gets into its 70s and 80s
Right.
and 90s. So this is a way to really this is a way to really help your brain stay healthy. So we know you want to be buried in your backyard, but we don't want to do that tomorrow. We want to stay above ground for as long as we can. That's and this is so helpful in doing that. I think it is anyway too. So, but this was a really excellent demonstration of it. I think because it just simplified it.
So Lisa, I'm just curious, why, you've obviously done presentations among a variety of audiences. What is it that you think, based on your experience, it makes this so appealing to seniors?
Well, it's funny that you should ask. I'd like to offer the words of Henry David Thoreau, who I think sums this up quite nicely. Why would we want to do practices of mindfulness? And he says, I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to find only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived. I think that's sums it up very nicely, right? We're living our very best lives. We're opening up to the miracle and amazing life that we have. Yeah.
And I suppose the interesting thing about, you folks are young, but for us old people, the interesting thing about that, I'm turning 73 next month. I like my work. I always tell people, because my clients think I'm young. It's terrific. But you on the one hand, you do feel that based on your experience, you've come to this kind of a greater sense of thing. But on the other hand, your world can really be clouded by the anticipation of frailty and death, because it's close, it's close, and because you see it all around you, that your population that surrounds you is, changes. And so I think that the notion of just saying, this is the best day, today is today, and this is what I've got, and what is today is just a great way of dealing with every day. It's just a wonderful thing. So this was all pretty wonderful. Lisa, thank you so much for this. Right, I can see why you're in demand, and I know. I think Doug had mentioned that for folks who are interested, your contact information is going to be available at the end of the presentation, right? But it was. Let me put it this way: a great way to go into the holidays. A great way to go into when people are typically really crazy, and that's not what it's about at all, right? It's just not what it's about. So
take 5 minutes. So I'm trying to get her lined up with the Southborough Senior Center coming up for the coming year. So I'm working hard on seeing where we can fit that into the schedule, because I really do think it's important. And I think, again, we just did this by Zoom, and so you don't necessarily have to be in a nice room. It would be nice with other people around you. Sometimes it's even better for some folks to start off where there are no distractions and you're comfortable at home, right? So,
although I must say,
we'll
for a lot of people who haven't tried this, based on this, I think it would be really great to start off in Lisa Campbell's presence. This is pretty wonderful.
Right.
So, Lisa, thank you so much. Doug Peck, thank you so much, folks. This is really important. This is really important, And but if you really, this is just and just give you a sense of the essence of this, But if you're for anybody, including me, this is a really, really important thing. So you may want to really explore it. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Doug. Folks, thank you for watching. It's the holiday season. Have a wonderful holiday, and Happy New Year in 2023. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I echo that. Thank you.